How is it that there is something instead of nothing? Why can't there just be nothing? Why is there something? This is a very, very important question. I mean, when you really think about it, it was much easier for there to be nothing instead of something. But there is something. How is that possible? Hey guys, it's Benedictines the Vegan. Today I'm going to give you my theory of everything. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Also tell me what you think about reality in the comment section. How do you think we came into existence? Why is there something instead of nothing? One of the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to understand the true nature of reality is that they make assumptions. People assume that some things are true. They don't ask themselves how they actually know that these things are true. No, they just assume that these things are true. Like for an example, you assume that matter really exists. You never ask yourself if matter exists. You just assume that it does. You assume that consciousness is not fundamental. You assume that consciousness came from matter, not the other way around. But you've never taken your time to really think about this. You just assume that just because reality seems that way. Like it seems as if consciousness came from matter. So you just assume that, yeah, it's true, it's obvious. Consciousness came from matter. You assume that other people exist. Whenever I talk to people about solipsism, they think I'm crazy. And what they're not realizing is that I'm not really telling them that solipsism is true. I'm not telling them that solipsism is true. No. I'm actually trying to find out if they are deep thinkers. Because if you really want to understand reality, you must be a deep thinker. You must question everything. How do you know that other people exist? Do you know that other people exist? Really, do you know that other people exist? Or you just assumed that other people exist? I mean, why is it that when you dream, you interact with people that seem to have their own minds, but then you wake up and be like, oh, it was just a dream? And after waking up, you tell yourself that those people don't exist. They were just figments of my imagination. So why can't you question the existence of other people in this reality? If it's possible for you to be in a world where there seem to be other people that don't actually exist, but you fully believe that they exist. I mean, when you're dreaming, you fully believe that the people that you're interacting with are real and they exist. You can have a dream where you are getting bullied. Where you have a gun and you can just shoot your bully, but you don't shoot your bully because you're afraid of getting locked up. Right? You believe that what's happening is real. You can be in a dream where you are afraid. If you're a dude, you are afraid to approach a girl. You're afraid to approach a girl that you like because you believe that what's happening is real. So why can't you be skeptical enough to ask yourself if other people in this world actually exist? Because you don't know that they exist. You see, solipsism by definition is true. You can only be sure of your own existence. You can't be sure that anything outside of you exists. See, if you want to understand reality, you must go within. You mustn't trust what's happening outside of you, because anything can happen outside of you. I was debating with this other Christian the other day. You know, it's a guy that I usually debate with. He's intelligent. You know, he's actually intelligent. It's weird. You know, yeah, he's actually intelligent. That he's a Christian. So I'm debating with this dude, and he tells me that, you know, one day when I was praying, I saw Jesus. I saw Jesus for real. I was praying, and something told me to open my eyes. No, I was praying, and something told me to open my eyes. And I opened my eyes and saw Jesus. And I started crying. He's not the first person to tell me that when they were praying, they saw Jesus. You know, there have been many people that told me that they saw Jesus. Many people. You know, because I like debating with Christians. You know, so some of them have told me that, yeah, they saw Jesus. So I asked him, yo, how sure are you that it was just not in your head? I mean, you have been wanting to see Jesus your whole life. You've been praying so hard. You invested a lot of time, you know, trying to communicate with Jesus, trying to, you know, have a relationship with Jesus. What if you were just hallucinating? What makes you so sure that you saw Jesus? I mean, that's weird. I mean, think about it. Jesus? Really? What was he wearing? He had beard. And they described the dude that played Jesus. You know, in one of the first movies that was made about Jesus, and I think they got a couple of movies about Jesus, but in one of the first movies that they made about Jesus, the most popular movie that was made about Jesus, I was like, man, the problem is if there were beings that were more advanced than we are, they will actually use that to manipulate us. They will just show you the kind of God that you believe in order to manipulate you. I mean, what if he said something? What if he said you should do something that was horrible? Oh, Jesus wouldn't tell me to do something that's horrible. Like, no, actually. If you kept on seeing him, chances are he will tell you to do something that you just don't agree with. Something that you might even think that is horrible. You know, maybe in the beginning, he will tell you what you want to hear. But then he will end up telling you that You've got to give up everything that you know, run away from home. Go start a church somewhere. Go to this person, sacrifice children or whatever. Like, it's possible, and because you have a lot of faith, it will make sense, you know. I mean, think about it. Christians find themselves justifying God's immoral actions. The Christian God is so horrible. More horrible than any person that has ever existed. I mean, that's a fact. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. The Christian God is more horrible than any person that has ever existed. And they defend this God. They say that is good. So think about it. Wouldn't they do horrible things if you told them to do horrible things? They would. So really, you can't trust anything outside of you. You must trust yourself, regardless of what you are seeing. If you want to understand reality, trust yourself. You know, be skeptical about everything. Ask yourself, really, how do I know that I'm not the only conscious being in the universe? How do I know that I'm not hallucinating right now? Isn't that possible though? There are people in this world that believe that we are a product of evolution, which is evolved. But that assumes that there must be a beginning, right? There was a time when there was nothing. No, there was a time where there was nothingness. It was like just nothing, not even darkness, just nothing. And then something came into existence. But how is that possible? Think about it. So it was nothing, and then something came into existence. Really? How? How is that possible? How can matter come out of nothing? How is that possible? Think about it for a while. How can matter come out of nothing? So there was nothing, and then, something started existing, The Big Bang happened, and then, here we are now. Does that make sense to you? There are people that believe that we are in a simulation. I mean, it's possible. It's possible that we could be in a simulation, but also ask yourself this question. If we're in a simulation, there has to be base reality. What created that reality? And where did that thing come from? You're going to run into the same problems. Where did base reality come from? This is a very, very important question. If life is a dream, there has to be what reality really is. There has to be a reality that's not a dream. But wait, What if it is possible that life is a dream within a dream, within a dream, within a dream, and what we think is base reality is just consciousness? It's just where consciousness started dreaming, basically. That actually everything is a product of consciousness. Nothing really exists. Every single thing that you see is a product of consciousness. Every single experience that you get to have is a product of consciousness. And consciousness is fundamental. Isn't that possible? I mean, you might say, no, it's not possible, right? It's not possible. Who created consciousness? You see, you end up running into the same problem. Who created consciousness? But wait. Does consciousness need to have been created in order to exist? We're talking about awareness. In fact, let me ask you a question. Do you think that awareness is something that can be created? What do you think is used to create awareness? Do you think awareness can be measured? I'm talking about awareness now. Isn't it weird that we still don't understand what consciousness is? Scientists still don't understand what consciousness is. They understand a lot of things that they're not telling us, you know. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of things that they know about reality that they're not telling us, but they don't understand consciousness. I'm telling you. We're talking about awareness here. See, when you really think about it, you realize that awareness is not made out of anything. See, if something is not made out of anything, then it cannot really be created. It just has to be what's fundamental. It has to be what has always been. Right? Which tells us that matter does not exist. Matter is just an illusion. Because think about it. If consciousness is nothingness, then why should matter needs to exist? I mean, you are able to dream. I mean, let's talk about dreams a little bit here. You are able to dream. You are able to dream. You go into a world where there seem to be things that really, really exist. Things that seem to have been created by something. You see trees in your dreams. You see other people in your dreams. You see stars in your dreams. You see clouds in your dreams. You see snakes in your dreams. 2 days back, I had a dream where I was, about to get attacked by a snake, and I woke up. That dream was so scary. It woke me up, and I even moved. I moved in my sleep. Woke up. I was like, what the hell? I was scared, man. I created that. That was happening within consciousness. And I believe that it was real. So, isn't it possible that life is consciousness dreaming? Because consciousness has been showing us that it's able to dream. It's able to create things out of nothing. It doesn't need anything. in order to create reality. Isn't that strange though? Consciousness doesn't need anything in order to create reality. It doesn't. It doesn't need science. It doesn't need physics. It doesn't need faith. It doesn't need anything. Like, it just creates reality. And it's able, and this is what's crazy, it's able to create reality and not even know that it's creating that reality. Isn't that strange though? When you are dreaming, you find yourself in a reality that was created by your mind, but you don't know that that reality was created by your mind. You believe that that reality will continue to exist without you. So you believe that that reality will continue to exist without you. That's strange when you really think about it. It's really strange. But it's something that we already know happens. Think about it. If you didn't have an ability to dream, for an example, like you couldn't dream at all, and someone told you about dreams, and someone told you that it was possible to go into a world where you have an experience that you think that is real, that is not different from this experience that you are having now, would you believe them? You think they're lying. If you couldn't dream and someone told you that, it was actually possible to dream, you would think that they're lying. But like, nah, no way, that cannot happen. But now, humans can dream. I think animals can dream as well. It's possible. Or you are dreaming that other humans can dream, and other animals can dream as well. It's crazy. But it is possible to find yourself in a world that was created by your mind, that you have no idea that was created by your mind, that you actually think that is real, and it exists independent of your mind. And if that's possible, you have to be skeptical enough to ask yourself, isn't that what's happening here? Think about it. The only other reality that you've experienced, or the only other experience that you've heard that you thought was real, was happening within your mind. And you ended up realizing that no, actually it was just a dream. But when you were having that experience, you didn't know that it was a dream. The only other experience that you've had, you have to understand that, like, the only other experience that you've had when you were sleeping, and you believe that it was real, it was a real experience that you were having until you woke up. So what makes you think that that is not what is happening? Because that's exactly how you should think. If you are being honest with yourself, you should actually be thinking that reality is a dream. That makes the most sense. That makes the most sense. It makes more sense to believe that reality is just a dream than to believe that matter exists and consciousness is not fundamental. Think about it. Can something come out of nothing? I mean, the only time where something does come out of nothing is when you're dreaming, right? Who created the moon in your dreams? No one. It literally came out of nothing. It's product of your mind. So here's what I think. I think the only thing that exists is consciousness, right? Consciousness is fundamental. Consciousness is all there is. What consciousness is able to do is hallucinate or dream. It's able to imagine things into existence and experience these things that it's imagining. And that's what you call reality. It is able to see things from a perspective that it has imagined. That's crazy. You are able to do that as well. You are able to imagine you were someone else and start seeing things from the reality of that individual. You are actually able to do that. If you want to do that, you can do it now. In fact, I would advise you, if you are really thinking negative thoughts that you feel like are toxic, do that. Just try to imagine you are someone else and think about things that you actually love thinking about. Create a reality that you want within your mind, and you'll feel better if you do that correctly. You're able to do that for real. So consciousness is able to create different perspectives and then experience life from these different perspectives. And that's why reality exists. Yeah. Sure. So the reason why we're in the mess that we're in today, the reason why we've created this messed up world that we've created today is because we don't know that. And because our perspectives are limited, the perspectives that consciousness has created are limited, they only think for themselves. They're selfish. So if consciousness created a perspective that is more powerful than another perspective, then it wants to control that other perspective. That's why we ended up with this mess that we have ended up with today. And the thing about consciousness that you must understand is that it can create any kind of reality. Like, it doesn't have a problem creating any kind of reality. That is why sometimes you find yourself having nightmares. You find yourself having dreams that you don't want to have, dreams that scare you. You find yourself having those kind of dreams. Why? I mean, these dreams are happening within your mind and they're generated by your mind. How is it possible that your own mind is scaring you? Consciousness doesn't give a fuck. Can give you any kind of experience. And right now we've manifested a world that is ran by fear, basically. Like we are afraid, we're scared. And we keep on manifesting experiences that are causing us to feel more and more afraid. That's why we've ended up with this mess that we have today. People are not courageous. People are afraid to speak their truth. People are afraid to do what I'm doing. People are afraid to speak the truth, bruh. I know that. There are so many people that have told me that I'm afraid to speak my truth. I'm afraid to do what I love doing. What if we started being courageous and started doing exactly what we wanted to do? Something that I've realized, and this is a very important thing. When I was young, I was afraid of ghosts. And I would have dreams about ghosts a lot of times because I was afraid of ghosts. But as I got older, I realized that, ghosts don't exist. I mean, they might exist, but I never seen a ghost, so I ended up assuming that ghosts do not exist. But like I said, if you really want to understand reality, you mustn't assume, anything. You must really be honest with yourself. If you don't know something, then tell yourself the truth that I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know whether ghosts exist or not. But when I was young, I believed that they did, and I was afraid of them. So I would have dreams about ghosts chasing me, and these dreams were scary, man. But as I got older, I started assuming that ghosts don't exist, and I no longer have dreams about ghosts. I no longer have dreams about ghosts. Because I'm not even scared of ghosts anymore. What if we decided to just face our fears? When we feel like something is not right, we're not afraid to talk about it. We're not afraid to stand for the truth no matter what. What if that's the only way out of this crap? What if the reason why we keep on manifesting the experiences that we don't want is because we are allowing these experiences to be manifested? Because we're not saying no. We're not fighting against these experiences. We're not being courageous enough. So, consciousness, and this is something that I've realized, consciousness is able to create challenges for you. Have you realized that? Consciousness is actually able to create challenges for you. And if you don't conquer these challenges, then it was going to keep on reintroducing these challenges in new ways. So really, the only way out is by being courageous. Realizing that nothing really exists, nothing really matters. All this shit is just a manifestation of, what consciousness is trying to create, what consciousness thinks that it's best to create. And really, we can tell consciousness no by fighting against the bullshit that we see going on here. What if there are people that know that and they are making us manifest a reality that is fucked up? Because we're being kept in fear, man. We're being made to feel powerless. I was thinking about what we're going through right now as South Africans. There's what we call load shedding, where they would cut off electricity 2-3 times a day, 4 times a day sometimes, 4 hours for 4 hours straight sometimes, and then they would bring it back for 2 hours and then switch it off again for 4 hours again. You know what I mean? Like, that does something to you. Like, it makes you feel powerless. It makes you feel angry. What if we've got to actually stop feeling powerless? What if we should try to stop giving a fuck and stop being afraid, stop feeling like there are beings that are more powerful than we are? What if them being more powerful than we are is actually an illusion? What would happen if you weren't afraid? Because I know a lot of people are afraid. I know that. You know, when I go online and see the kind of things that people post, I can tell you that these people are afraid. They are living in fear. So what if you stop being afraid? What do you think will happen? If you stop being afraid and started doing exactly what you want to do, and you started being real and you started being honest, and you stop caring what other people think, what do you think will happen? Because you can stop caring what other people think. You know, people think that it's impossible to stop caring what other people think. No, actually it is possible. It's just that you are not doing what you should be doing to stop caring what other people think. That is the problem. Right? You are not doing what you should be doing to stop caring what other people think. If you were doing what you need to be doing to stop caring what other people think, then you would stop caring what other people think. So it's your fault that you care what other people think, because you allow yourself to feel powerless. You don't value your own opinions. You see, remember what I told you in the beginning? I said you gotta stop trusting the shit that's happening around you and start trusting yourself. Ask yourself, what is really, really true? Because I think a lot of people seek for validation from others because they don't really trust themselves enough to actually seek validation within. You know, I think that's a huge problem. So if really you stopped seeking validation from others and started, trusting yourself, started valuing your own opinions, started being a god, because that's not so different from being a god. Like you're the one that tells yourself what reality is. You're the one that tells yourself what is true. You don't allow anyone else to tell you what is true. You don't allow anyone else to tell you what reality is. You study what's happening around you. It is important that you do that. You study what's happening around you, but then, you decide what is true. This is something that you must realize, because let's just say this reality was created by an evil god, for an example, right? Let's just say this reality was created by an evil god. How would you make sure that this evil god does not continue to make you suffer? Right? Let's just say this reality was created by an evil god. How would you make sure that this evil god does not continue to make you suffer? That's by trusting yourself. Looking at things that are happening around you and not giving a fuck. Like, ask yourself this question: why should you give a fuck? Why should you give a fuck if... And this is a very, very important question. Like, why should you give a fuck if the president of America does not, care about Americans. Why should you give a fuck? You shouldn't. Why should you give a fuck if the people that are in power don't care about you? You shouldn't. It's not like you are in prison. Here's something that you must realize. Just because the people that are in power are corrupt does not mean that you must be mad. It does not mean that you must be angry. It doesn't mean that you must complain. You complain because you've programmed yourself to seek validation from others. They're doing their own thing. They're playing their own games, basically. Play your own game. Play your own game. You might say, what they do affect me. No, it doesn't. It only affects you because you're telling yourself that it does affect you, because you've been programmed to care about things that you shouldn't even be caring about. It doesn't. Let them do their thing and then do your own thing. That's the only way out of this bullshit. If you are being, manipulated by an evil God, that's it. That's the only way out. If I'm right, if you are in a dream, then that's the only way out. You see, the solution that I'm giving you will help you no matter what reality is. The solution that I'm giving you will work for you no matter what reality is. You gotta stop giving a fuck. There's nothing to give a fuck about in this world. You've just told yourself that you must give a fuck about certain things, and because of that, you are suffering a lot. I must give a fuck if the government is not providing jobs. Fuck the government. You've got to be so free that you do exactly what you want, and you are brave enough to be yourself. You are brave enough to do what you want and to live life the way that you want to live it, no matter what. You see, you've programmed yourself to believe that the only way for you to survive in this world is if you are employed, for an example. You've convinced yourself that that's the only way for you to survive. No, it isn't. It's just that you've limited your own mind because you've been programmed to, limit your own mind. Remember what I told you in one of my previous videos. I think I've uploaded that video maybe 2 days back. That you've been programmed to do things that do not really serve you. You're not programmed to prioritize your own needs. You've been programmed to push this system, to make this system strong. This system that has enslaved you. You're not programmed to do the things that you really, really want to do. Since you were a kid, you've been programmed to value the system, to take the system so seriously, to not really care about your own needs and what you want, to not really care about your own happiness. You've been programmed to actually be good with being a slave. And that is why a lot of adults are actually okay with being slaves. It's important that you don't live in fear. That's really, really important. And you'll be able to do that if you are not making assumptions. Because if you stop making assumptions, this is really, really important. If you stop making assumptions, the worst things can happen, right? The worst things can happen. And you don't take this thing seriously. Things that would normally hurt you can happen and you don't give a fuck. You're like, the fuck is happening in this piece of shit dream now? Who gives a fuck? Oh, I'm sick. I'm gonna die in a year. Cool. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna have fun, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna even drink alcohol, even if it means that I'm going to die earlier than I was supposed to. No, I'm not gonna take anything seriously. I'm not going to be a slave anymore. I'm not going to live in fear anymore. Now that's what you must do if you really, really want to be free. You can't be free if you still care what other people think, if you still seek outside validation. You can't be free. It's impossible. If you still care what other people think of you, you're not going to be free. If you still care what other people think, you're not going to be free. Because there are people who actually care what other people think. So someone is dumb and you care what they think. No, you shouldn't care. Let them think what they think and think what you think. You must not want to control others, because you caring what they think has something to do with you wanting to control others. Like, let them be what they are. Remember what I told you? We kind of not the same, We're not operating on at the same level of awareness. Like, don't force a dog to be a human. A dog is a dog. It's operating at a level of consciousness that's best for it, I guess. Who knows? You are a human. You are operating at a much higher level of consciousness, and there are humans that are operating at a level of consciousness. Damn, it seems like it's about to rain. There are humans that are operating at a level of consciousness that's lower than the level that you are operating at. You are operating at a level of consciousness that's much higher than them. So they might not really understand you. So yeah, these are the kind of things that you should think about, and stop being a slave in this reality. Stop letting this nightmare fuck you up. That's what I'm saying. You are in some kind of a dream. It's all a dream. It isn't real. So stop believing that this shit is real. Stop believing that this shit should have power over how you feel. Be free. Be that free. Be so free that you do. This is super important, guys. Like, I can't stress this enough. Be so free that you do exactly what you want to do, no matter what. Listen, this is another mistake that humans make. When they try to do something that's gonna change their lives, and it doesn't work out in the beginning, they give up. They just give up. It's like if you start working out, for an example, you work out for like 2 weeks and then you give up because you're not seeing the results. In fact, sometimes you even give up even if you are seeing the results. Have you noticed that, like, people are, here's the fucked up thing about this reality, and that's what I've been, that's why I've been telling you that you haven't been programmed to do what is best for yourself. You haven't been programmed to take yourself that seriously. People would rather be slaves, be committed to their jobs, than work on themselves, work on freeing themselves. They don't take themselves that seriously. Like, you wake up every morning and go to work, but when you tell yourself that you gotta work out every day, you don't work out every day. Sometimes you just wake up and be like, if you want to work out, like I told you, nothing really matters. You don't have to work out if you don't want to work out. Fuck it. But I'm saying there are people who actually want to work out, but they don't work out. They gave up basically because they didn't see results in the beginning, or they did see the results, but they became lazy because they don't take themselves seriously, I guess. So they became lazy. So yeah, man, you've got to really think. You got to really take yourself that seriously. And that's really the only way that you can free yourself. The truth is, a lot of humans have limited themselves because of what they believe about themselves, because of what they've been programmed to believe about themselves, because of their fear. You're afraid, so you limit yourself. Right now, I'm not talking about you going into the world and start doing a lot of things that are toxic, whatever. Right now, I'm talking about you being free, like freeing yourself. You being Neo in the Matrix, like you really freeing yourself. You being what's the name of this guy in Fight Club? There's this guy in Tyler Durden, something like that. Yeah, you becoming free. See, Tyler in Fight Club didn't have shit, but he was so free. He was so confident. He was able to get shit done. He was not a slave to his emotions. He didn't really care. He was free. So that's what I'm telling you. Set yourself free. Don't be a slave in this fucked up reality, because it's a very fucked up reality, And because of what you've been told to believe, what you've been taught to believe about this reality, you find yourself suffering a lot, Suffer because you are trying to free yourself. Don't suffer because you are living in fear and you are allowing this fucking matrix to control you in all kinds of ways. That's fucked up. Suffer because you're trying to free yourself. That's the only way out. That's what you must be doing. Wake up every day and ask yourself, how can I set myself free? How can I make sure that I care less about what other people think of me? How can I make sure that I care less about what other people think? How can I make sure that I care less about what the president of Uganda is doing? What the president of America is doing? That's what you must do. That's how you set yourself free. It's the only way, man. But yeah, reality, what we call reality, is a product of awareness. It makes a lot of sense when you really think about it, because nothing can come out of nothing. You cannot say that this really exists. It doesn't exist. I remember I was talking to this other Christian about this the other day. I was like, where did God find matter to create this reality, in your opinion? Doesn't it make sense to believe that actually nothing really exists and he basically hallucinated everything? I was just trying to talk to him in a language that I feel like, that I felt like he can understand. So I was asking him, what if God himself is actually hallucinating? Because when you really think about it, that makes a lot of sense. That because if he cannot create something out of nothing, and if you really think about it, that is impossible. You cannot create something out of nothing. Then of course he imagined everything into existence. And we did some thought experiments and then ended up realizing that actually that makes a lot of sense. So even though he's Christian, he really got it, that actually nothing can come out of nothing, So we need to be very honest with ourselves when we're trying to understand the true nature of reality. You can't really understand reality if you are not, honest with yourself. If you make assumptions, making assumptions will stand in the way of you understanding reality. Right? People who make assumptions don't get to understand reality. I see this happening a lot. Like, you tell a person that, okay, I think reality is this way. They're like, no, it is not. Like, let's have a conversation about this. And like, nah, it's not. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, allow yourself to learn. The reason why I believe that Christianity is not true, for an example, is because I did allow myself to learn, a lot about Christianity. I did, attend different churches. I did have a lot of debates with different people, I did ask people about their experiences. When people get exercised, I'll go to them like, yo man, how did it feel like when you were being exercised? You were saying this and that, like, it's crazy. You were saying that you sleep with snakes or whatever, Do you remember saying that? I've started these things. And that's why I'm confident when I tell you that, nah, it ain't real. You've got to investigate reality. Try to find out what's really, really happening. Unless you do that, you can't really be confident that you understand reality. And another mistake that people make is that they want something to be true so bad that when you tell them, something that actually contradicts what they think that you're wrong automatically. They don't try to, understand what you're really saying, because they want what they think is true to be the truth. So they don't give themselves a chance, to really understand what's really going on. That's a big mistake. You've got to give yourself a chance to really understand what's going on. You've got to be really honest with yourself. No, don't let this reality torture you anymore, man. Be free enough. Even if it means, like, here's the thing, like, don't even be afraid of death. Like, don't be afraid of death. Be so free that you're not even afraid of death. Be so free that if you got sick and they told you that you're going to die, you don't feel fear at all. Be so free that if what you value is the truth, and to get the truth meant that you must die, you don't fear at all. You know what, cool. I want the truth. I don't care if, that means that I die or whatever. Like, don't let this reality keep on, you don't allow this reality to keep on torturing you. That's the only way that you can free yourself. It isn't by playing this game that we're being programmed to play. It is not by doing that. Because a lot of people believe that you must participate in this game that we are playing. Like, oh, I must become rich. I'm gonna be free when I'm rich. Like, nah, that's just part of this game. That's part of what's making this life hard for many people. Do what you want to do. I wish I knew this when I was young, because I feel like I allowed myself to suffer for things that I shouldn't have suffered for. I'm not saying that if you decide to be brave enough to truly be yourself and do exactly what you want to do, you will not suffer. But at least you'll be suffering for your freedom. You will not be suffering because you are being manipulated in all kinds of ways. No, you're actually suffering because you are freeing yourself. I mean, you've already suffered a lot because of, believing a lot of stupid things about this reality, or investing your time, energy on things that, don't even matter, on things that were causing you pain and suffering. So I'm saying that set yourself free. It's just the only way. Thank you all, guys.